So the iPhone 8 Plus is one of those phones that came out so many years ago, and I still think there might be some reasons why you should go ahead and even kind of consider purchasing a device like this. Now, the first thing I can definitely tell you is a phone like this is fairly outdated. There's not really that much of a reason to go and pick it up. But if I had to go and find some reason to go and pick it up, the first thing I'd probably tell you, the price of these devices are very, very slim for the most part. Or very, very, small. Like these things aren't super expensive devices anymore. And that is kind of one of the biggest advantages of going through and picking up a device like this. The fact that it really isn't that expensive. You can basically go ahead, pick up a phone like an iPhone 8 Plus and buy it for very, very, cheap than what it used to be. And this is by far one of the most important things to kind of keep in mind when you are getting a phone like this, because I'm sure you don't want to go through and buy a super expensive device. So I do think this in and of itself is a really, really cool thing going on here. It's not the most expensive phone anymore. And I do think this in and of itself, again, is probably one of the most important things going on for a device like this. Now, on top of the price tag, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is the fact that a device like this physically still feels very good. It still feels fairly expensive for the most part. It doesn't feel like a super cheap phone. And I do think this in and of itself could be another really interesting thing going on here too. This type of device just doesn't really cost that much. And I do think, like I mentioned before, if I'm going to go ahead and look at massive reasons to go and pick up a device, I don't want to buy a super expensive phone. And the fact that this device still holds up fairly well from the build quality standpoint is actually very, it's fairly respectable. Now, another very big thing going on here too, I would say, is the performance. Although this thing is, a 7-year-old phone now, it's very, very outdated. Getting a phone like this that isn't really the most expensive thing anymore, that, costs fairly cheap, and the performance of this still kind of being what it is right now, it's a very, very cool thing. Being able to go through and pick up a phone like this that still performs pretty decently, and for the basic things you'd probably do in a device, this thing can handle all those things. The performance of this phone is decent. If you want to go and text people, call people, if you want to go and do really whatever you want to, you can kind of get a pretty decent experience with a device like this, which I think is really cool. So I do think from that particular side as well, it's another really awesome thing going on for this type of device. Now, although it's not perfect, I do think the performance of this phone is pretty decent. And the software updates on this thing, the fact that this thing's still getting some sort of software updates is another very cool thing. This thing, although it's not on iOS 17 or iOS 18, the fact that we are basically getting iOS 16 security updates on this thing, even though this phone came out so long ago, is another very nice thing going on for this device too. So overall, there are some really nice things going on for this type of device, and I definitely do think in some ways it's still kind of worth buying. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.